This is your Bible Geeks Daily Download into the book, Luke chapters 11 through 15.
I remember going to this party years ago that started at one house for appetizers, then went to another home for soup, then on to the main course before traveling to a final house for dessert. It's called a progressive dinner, and it was a lot of fun. This week's reading is kind of like that progressive dinner.
It starts out with meals on wheels. We're in the middle act of the book, Christ's journey toward Jerusalem. As we travel, it sometimes feels like a trip from one dinner party to another. Jesus will attend feasts in the homes of two different Pharisees in these chapters. Then, some will accuse him of welcoming sinners and eating with them.
Beyond that, the Lord's teachings will take us to quite a few fascinating parties, like the grand banquet for the poor and crippled, the celebration in heaven, and the famous fatted calf supper a father held for his wayward son. In his banquet parables, the Lord explains the nature of his kingdom. Who will the king invite? What should we do as we wait for the feast? And what kind of thing makes God want to throw a party? He also gives us some kingdom party etiquette, like who should you invite when you host a banquet? Where should you sit when you're a guest? And how do these instructions apply to other areas of our lives?
But what happens when we turn down the invitation? Jesus describes the chosen people as a select guest list who declined the party invitation in Luke 14. Rather than receiving the Messiah and his kingdom, most of the Jews missed God's time of visitation. So from the fig tree parable to the warning to interpret time correctly, to the lament over Jerusalem, listen for Christ's sad, prophetic message of judgment on the nation and its capital, Jerusalem.
So what's on the menu? For my wife and me, our biggest wedding day regret is not finding time to enjoy the beautiful dinner we planned for everyone. We ran from table to table visiting folks, but never got more than a few bites ourselves as we played host and then shuffled off to our honeymoon.
And as Christ prepares his disciples to follow him after he's gone, Luke fills these chapters with disciple training. Like those first disciples, we need this training. So as you read this section, don't forget to partake in the meal yourself.
Do I think of money the way Jesus did?
Does my prayer life reflect the confidence Jesus teaches?
Do I readily acknowledge Christ before men?
And am I striving to enter, knowing the cost of following him?
God's people have anticipated a great messianic banquet since Isaiah's time, Isaiah 25, 6-7. Reading Luke 11 to 15, examine your readiness for the Master and his feast.
Thanks for tuning in, and may the Lord bless you and keep you today.
Shalom.